Brian Powell, I Run Far here with Troy Howard after the 2013 Hardrock 100. How you doing, Troy?
Doing great. Doing great.
You had a very consistent, very solid run out there this year.
I did. Yeah. I felt like I was pretty fit. It's really hard to tell. The last time I was here was 4 years ago. So just comparing my training logs, actually my training wasn't quite as high a volume as it was 4 years ago. So that's the only thing I was a little nervous about.
And you finished second 4 years ago.
Yeah, I happened to finish second, and also that year the course record was broken. So there's a trend there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe third time's a charm. Who knows? But yeah, overall I felt really good out there. I think the key, as in most hundreds, and this one's probably just a few notches higher, is just to not overdo it early, and just try and stay steady. And take care of yourself when you get really high at the higher altitudes, and make sure you continue to eat and drink. And I never really had any major lows, and I just tried to keep them moving.
Gotcha. Seb and Joe were ahead of you all day.
Right.
They were working together, sort of relaxing. Did you end up having any company along the way early on?
Early on, yeah. I probably need to give a big shout out to Scott Jaime for telling me to go right when I was trying to go left a few times. Out there through Putnam and a few of those places that I wasn't as familiar with. I'm familiar with a lot of the course, but I just couldn't remember, and it was too hard to get some training runs in just to the logistics leading up to it. So Scott and I kind of swapped places quite a few times, and then I guess going up Engineer is probably when I went a little bit faster than him. But before that, he and I were always really close together, and then actually even through Sherman as well. He was just right there too. So yeah, but other than that, I think Chris Price was close to us early on, and great job for Chris coming out here, and first time being on this course is just he did a great job as well. And I let Seb and Joe kind of, I always find it hard to run with somebody because one of those two people are always running the other person's race just to try and keep up. And I do really poorly when I try and do that. So I did not want to try and even come close to those guys, but yet keep them within striking distance to see what happens later on. And
how do you feel like? How long do you think you sort of had Seb within striking distance?
Actually, leaving Telluride and going up to Oscar's Pass, I think it's hard to remember now, but I think it was somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes, depending who you asked at the aid station. And I figured, okay, if I'm going to push, I'm going to try and push up this pass, see if I can make up some time on it, and just see how it went from there. Unfortunately, I think Seb also probably felt the same way and tried to put time on me, and I think he was more successful in that, and I didn't feel very great pushing that hard at the top of Oscars.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I kind of just went back to what I was doing before and just tried to stay steady. And had Seb slow down, then I maybe would have made another push, but he was really strong and had a great race, and I didn't ever feel like I would had nearly enough energy to try and make up that kind of time.
Yeah, you must have made really great time from Telluride through Oscars, because Seb was on Chaurier's pace in 2011 pretty much all day through that point.
Right.
But from Telluride to Chapman really picked it up.
Yeah, he
really
did.
So you must have, if you were still only 10 or 20 minutes behind, you must have been cranking out the Telluride.
I was still feeling really good through there, but it was really kind of after Telluride at the top of Oscars. That's where he was feeling better than I was. Or he's probably just in better shape. And so he just ran an amazing race, and it's great to see him be that enthusiastic about it. It's great for the sport, great for Hardrock. So
you're still, you're always running your own race, but you're obviously sort of racing that Telluride, Chapman area. When you get to KT, you're 45 minutes or so back. I can't remember the exact split, but I was there when we told you how far you were.
Right.
You were with Dakota, your pacer. Do you sort of then back off another step? 'Cause you had a big lead over Scott. So do you sort of make sure, okay, I'm running my own race, I'm conservative. What's going through your head there?
No, not really. So my real goal was to make sure I beat my time from 2009.
Okay.
And I really wanted to make sure that happened. And then once I realized there's even a potential that I could even get under 25 hours. So I did not want to. I wanted to see, but I was pretty tapped out at that point and kind of at my limit.
And what was your old record? Or your
26:01. So I had to get under 26 hours.
Yeah.
So that was my goal. and I accomplished that. And I didn't realize actually at that point until I saw you, I didn't realize actually I was doing that well.
Yeah.
I don't really ever like to look at my watch in this race because it's such a long race. And so I really just wanted to see what I could do there and try and finish still with the best time for me personally on this course. And I was really happy. You know, I went off at least a couple of miles coming off of Handy's. I missed the turn off to Grouse. So, you know, if I come back and do it again and don't get myself lost, and, you know, I don't need Scott Jaime to always tell me which way to go early on, you know, I'd love to come back and hopefully get under 25 and see
what was your final time in this?
25:20.
So I remember people said at Grouse, you said 25 minutes you got lost for.
Yeah,
so
I would have been, so that's
maybe a little time to invest in those logistics next time.
Maybe I should look at the map a little bit more before the race. That would probably helpful.
Yeah.
That's a very clear turn off. There's nobody to blame but myself, and I had headphones in, and there was hikers yelling at me, but I was listening to music, so I didn't hear.
Where was it that you got it, that you went off?
So I missed the left turn to Grouse, the cutoff off of Handy's.
Yeah, like that, and around the basin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, fantastic race.
So you've now, like you said, you've been here twice. You've counterclockwise both years.
Right.
Personal best, real great, second places.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to get in for the clockwise direction. You're not a hard rocker yet.
Right. I'm not a legitimate hard rocker.
Two second place finishes, and you're not a hard rocker.
Right.
So.
No, I absolutely have to run it the other way. I'd love to see just the difference in the course. I think I'd look forward to running down some of those really long roads instead of having to hike and run up.
Camp Bird, you don't like running up Camp Bird or walking up Camp Bird?
Man. Totally. I'll put in again next year. I put in every year since 2009, so I'll continue to put in. It's still my favorite race out there.
Yeah, it's amazing that you ran such a great race. You said you didn't quite train as much as 2009. You had a couple races this spring that, you ran like 17th place or something at Leadville last year, and you're one of the 50K or 50 miler on the roads in Florida. But then you had Quad Rock, and what was your other?
There's another local one, Golden Gate Dirty 30.
Yeah, not like you ran poorly, but
on paper it's like, you look at it, it's like I'm not even a contender here, but and that's until you really understand every person and what they've done leading up to it, it's really hard to say, is somebody ready or not. Yeah. And that's why you see a lot of people that come here and they do really, really, really well, that you'd never kind of predict that they do so well. And that's really how I have to treat Hard Rock. I can't be one of those people that really races hard, a 50 mile or 50 Ks leading up to it. And honestly, the longer the distance, the better I do, generally speaking. So those were all training races. I was a little surprised at a few of those results, though, so I did have to go and look up who I'm racing against, and I realized that a lot of these guys are actually fairly new to the ultra running sport, because I didn't recognize any names, and they were really fast, so it made me feel a little bit better, but it is a little surprising, when I'm pushing pretty darn hard, even though I'm high training volume, but you're not even in the top 10, but it's great. It's great to see fast guys coming into the sport and really pushing the limits, and faster people make me run faster too. So it's all good. But
so you didn't have as much training volume. What do you focus on for? Hard Rock is your focus for your training season.
Totally.
So what are the keys to getting ready for this race?
So I'm not a pure runner. My background is actually I played college hockey. And that doesn't translate well to running at all, and certainly not ultra running. So I'm not a high mileage runner. I never break 100 miles in a week. I'd say my peak week might have been 70 miles, but I also do a lot of biking.
Okay.
And this year I did a lot of road biking, which I'm a big believer in doing a lot of road biking, doing a lot of climbing on the road bike, which really translates well into hiking a lot.
Okay.
And so I really alternate. I probably do just as much biking as I do running. And that was really my lead up. And I think the difference this year versus 2009 was that I was just a little more focused in the training I was doing. In 2009, I would go out and do 200-mile rides just to do them. And this year I did shorter rides, 130 miles with equally as much climbing though. And it was a little more focused.
Gotcha. I saw a couple of pictures early of you descending. You always seem to be descending into an aid station here, unless you're climbing to the top of Kroger's or Virginia's. And every time I saw these pictures of you coming in, you were crushing the downhills. Your quads were just like blown out. Like it looked like you were gonna blow out your quads.
Yeah.
How did you season your quads for a race like this?
Oh,
Because you obviously didn't blow out your quads.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, my quads, my friends always make fun of me, just because it's just genetics, right? I was born with these things, and I can't go to the gym and somebody say like, so what do you do in the gym to get quads like that? I'm like, I don't do anything. It's just like they're just. So I have that advantage, right? So it's definitely genetics. And I just make sure, especially on a race like this, you gotta also really find some long runs where you get a lot of downhill running. So I was up on Pikes Peak, and would run from the top all the way down there. I did a double there one time with one of my other pacers, Joe, that helped me out. And that's how you really got to condition your quads. And then you wear really short shorts just to make sure everybody sees how big your quads are.
Totally.
Right.
The secret of big quad people.
Right.
Focus on it. Cool. Well, congratulations on your second place finish, and
Thanks,
I hope to get to see you in a clockwise year one of these years.
Yeah, sounds good. Cool.
And one quick bonus question. This is sort of the same question I asked Seb to wrap things up. Poles. You didn't use them in 2009, but you did use them this year. Did you train with them? How'd they work out?
I did train with them. Absolutely. I think if you're going to use poles, you got to train with poles. I also, I don't really do much in the weight room in the summer because I actually try and get pretty light. But I did do just some exercises that mimicked pole motion in the weight room, and I think that totally paid off. My arms are fine. My shoulders are a little sore today, but absolutely. Hopefully none of my competitors hear this, but you got to use poles on this course if you want to go uphill at decent pace. They definitely help.
Yeah. What did you use? Did you use for poles?
So I have two pairs. I have some backpacking light sticks, which are just fixed and they're not collapsible. So I use those going up handies, and then just for variety, I use the Z poles for out of Telluride.
Black Diamond, yeah.
Yeah, Black Diamond Z poles, which are awesome. That's a great engineering marvel right there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.